The deadline for filling out the 2020 census form is the end of this month, and New York officials are urging all of the procrastinators to get it done to make sure the city and the state don't get shortchanged. They're reaching out to immigrants in particular.
Federal funding could be thrown off and decreased for many urban areas with large immigrant populations like New York City. This could affect our roads, our bridges, our schools, the number of first responders we have in our communities, and so much more.
And for those concerned about giving out information, federal law prohibits the Census Bureau from using any information against you in any way. And to that end, we have an it-eam exclusive tonight. It is hard enough for census workers to track down people who have yet to be counted, but now some of those workers report being blocked from getting into high-rise buildings where many of their interviews would take place. As the it-eam's Glorioso reports, the roadblocks come at this census crunch time, just 4 weeks to go, and with New York City's response rate lagging.
We don't know this census worker's name, and the rules say he can't talk with us. But on a pleasant day last week, the it-eam spotted him pounding pavement in Long Island City, trying to track down those New Yorkers who have yet to be counted. But repeatedly, we noticed a problem. This census worker was made to wait and wait and wait at building front desks. And sometimes he was turned away, even though he needs to knock on doors inside the high-rise. Inside this building, you can see the census worker hand over a fact sheet that says building managers are supposed to provide entry to buildings of occupied units. The attendant here confirmed he said no when the census worker asked to knock on about 50 doors. I asked why.
Why was that census worker not allowed to go up and knock on doors?
Because of the coronavirus.
Census officials say it has become a common problem in the pandemic. Multifamily building managers who will not let census workers upstairs because COVID-19 protocols restrict visitors.
A lot of the buildings in this neighborhood are really strict.
Some buildings are simply turning the census workers away. That's completely illegal.
Julie Menon is director of New York City's Office of the Census.
We are receiving dozens and dozens of complaints that buildings are not allowing census workers in.
In Long Island City alone, Menon's office says census workers have reported being blocked from door knocking in this building, in this building, in this one, this one, this one, and in this building. And the stakes are high.
A huge amount hangs in the balance.
CUNY grad school professor Stephen Romoleski maintains this map. The red census tracts are the one where census response rates are lagging more than 10% behind response rates from 2010. Currently, New York City's response rate is behind the national average and behind the city's response rate a decade ago.
So when I see a lot of those red areas, it makes me concerned that we need more time to be able to count those areas fairly and accurately.
Romoleski says President Trump's decision to switch the census count deadline from the end of October to the end of September does not help because door knockers like this one now have less time to negotiate with those building managers and reach hundreds of thousands of high-rise households in danger of going uncounted.
We're going to have close to 20,000 New York City residents out there knocking on doors for the U.S. Census Bureau, being a part of history. And we're going to visit households if we need to, up to and over 6 times. We'll knock on their door until we get a response.
That was New York's top federal census official. He says his army of door knockers is starting to have success. By the way, we reached out to those buildings subject to complaints in Long Island City. The ones we were able to reach said they are following the rules allowing census workers access. If you have not filled out your census, you have only 4 weeks left with billions of dollars in government funding at stake. Glorioso, News 4 New York.